Hello everyone, my name is Victoria Wadarama. Today we will be talking about how family background affects academics and behavior in young children. Some of the things that we will cover today are household types, reasons why children fall behind and have behavior problems, including child abuse and family stress, and the importance of knowing and recognizing the signs of children falling behind and having behavior problems. It is easier to build up a child than it is to repair an adult. Choose your words wisely. I picked this quote because children who come from rough households can struggle with their mood, behavior, and academics. It is important to remember that these children are not trying to be bad and they are not trying to fall behind. It is just the way that they are because of their past. To begin, we have to understand that there are different types of household. There is a two-parent married household. There can also be a two-parent unmarried household. There is the single parent, and there is also the guardian that could be foster care or adopted as well. Out of all of these household types, the most common is the two-parent married household. Out of all of these households, we usually see children who come from the guardian or the single parent households being the ones who struggle the most. Next, we will talk about abuse and stress that the children can go through. First, we're going to talk about abuse. So for physical abuse, the children can go through getting hit, being cut, being burned, even being thrown around and hurt in a very physical way, as well as mental, emotional, psychological abuse. We also have sexual abuse, as well as being neglected. With neglect, we have to see children who are malnourished, who don't have clean clothes, whose parents don't really seem to care too much about them. And then we have stress. I know in younger kids, it is harder to realize that they can be stressed out, but it is also important to realize that anyone can be stressed out, and for kids, it can sometimes be a lot tougher to deal with. With all of this going on in their households, it can definitely be hard for children to be able to pay attention in school. So because of this, they may just be kind of dazing off, not really paying attention. And because they are dazing off and not paying attention, they'll fall behind in class. They won't do their homework. A lot of the time, that's not really their fault. Sometimes they may not know how to do it. Their parents won't help them. And because they're not doing their homework, they tend to do badly on exams, especially the performance exams like mid-year, end of the year. In class, they may also ask for additional support, additional help, and this can be really hard for the teachers, especially when they have younger kids. Occasionally, they'll have 24 kids, no other teacher's assistants, and they can't really give the children that one-on-one help that they need. Next, we will talk about behavior. A lot of the times when in a classroom setting, the children will act out in class. By doing so, they'll be out of their seat, they won't be sitting still, or they'll be very, very fidgety, or they'll be talking out of their turn, they'll be distracting other students. Because of this, a lot of people will assume that they have ADHD or even think that they are on the spectrum. So that can be very detrimental to children, especially when they have to go through all the testing and then everything comes back normal. Aside from acting out in class, they may also be violent to either themselves or others. This can involve hurting other students, either physically or verbally, hurting themselves, or even hurting adults in the classroom. When it comes to violence, we see verbal abuse in younger children. They sometimes don't know how to express how they're feeling, so they will verbally abuse others. Whereas for physical abuse, we see that in older kids. With younger children, we also see them looking to adults for support, whereas with older kids, they tend to try to do everything on their own. Lastly, we will talk about the importance of knowing how to recognize all of these signs. So children who come from rough households, they tend to need more attention or professional help. So, coming from the education field, it is important for teachers and other adults to see the signs that these children are struggling and to help them find help. Especially in the education setting, every child definitely deserves to have the same education as everyone else, no matter what their background is. We also see that children who don't get help at a young age are less likely to get help when they're older. And when they're older, it can be even harder for them to figure out what is actually happening or what is wrong. And lastly, it is not their fault that they are in this situation. That is the most important thing to remember. It is not their fault, and if they could change it, they would. Alrighty, everyone. Well, that was everything. So, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learned something about the importance of recognizing child abuse and how it affects their behavior as well as their academics.